So I wanted to make a quick video about what the heck is going on in the world, right? There talks about pandemics, bioengineering, AI, asteroid mining, Mars colonization, nuclear war, climate change, microplastics, endocrine disruptors, demographic collapse, economic collapse, inflation, deflation, currency devaluation, right? Trade sanctions, everything, right? Everything that's happening in the world. It's kind of overwhelming. The whole thing about, for example, young men having problems adjusting to society, it's kind of indicative of how crazy things have gotten. Why aren't people having more children? Because children are it's our belief in the future, right? If we think the future is going to be better, we're going to have children, right? Most of us, not everybody, but most. But if we think the future is uncertain, right, or worse, if we think the future is gonna get worse, then we're not gonna have children. If you're a good parent, right? If you're a good person, you're not gonna have children if you know the future is gonna be worse, right? And of course, nobody can predict perfectly, right? We're not omniscient. We don't know what's actually gonna happen. But if it seems like things are getting worse, you're not gonna have children. Most of us. But then why do we, so then I guess why is there this general sense, right? This general malaise, this general unease of the future. And I think it comes down to like how uncertain, right? How lost we are. There's so much going on, it's overwhelming, right? There's just too much going on, right? It's, we're not capable of comprehending all this this flood of information. And because of that, people feel, doom. There's the doomer meme, but people feel, kind of like this anxiety about climate anxiety, AI anxiety, nuclear anxiety, right? Anxiety about everything. And I can sympathize a lot with those people, because the world is it's going crazy, truly. But the world's always been going crazy. It's always been crazy. So I think what really is driving it, um, is the how much our perception changed. So what I mean is, like, let's say, 10,000 years ago, right? Our hunter-gatherer ancestors, they knew nothing. They didn't have books. They didn't have internet. They didn't have anything really. But they did have street smarts, right? They had practical experience, right? If you lived 10,000 years ago, right? It's either you got experience or you died, right? There's no in between. But today, um, many people can have that knowledge without the experience, right? Without knowing how to actually handle it, right? So everything physical became mental. And with the scientific revolution, industrial revolution, with things like that, we initially thought that we understood the world, right, through science and observation, and that we understood ourselves, right, through psychology, philosophy, theology, mythology. But it turns out we might not understand as much as we thought, right? We overestimated ourselves, our intelligence, anyways, which is probably the reason why we feel so anxious, right? we thought we knew more than we actually know. We were arrogant in our ways, right? And so because of that, right, we have the combination of realizing we know much less than we thought we did. That combined with us not gaining enough practical experience, creates like this avalanche effect, where basically our intelligence outpaces our wisdom, right? Our technology outpaces our ability to use them effectively, right? We have godlike technology, but we have, primitive brains, right? Primitive emotions. And that's why we feel overwhelmed, right? It's out of our control, right? It's out of our hands, right? It's exactly the same feeling as like learned helplessness, right? But in almost like in in a contradictory sort of way, it's because we have too much power relative to our wisdom that we feel helpless, right? Are we using technology, or is technology using us? So then what we really need to tackle all of these, I guess just like Einstein said, we can't solve a problem with the same level of thinking that we use to create the problem, right? We have to upgrade our thinking, upgrade our emotions, right? We have to go from basically a local intelligence to a global intelligence. And we never evolved to do that, right? Our ancestors didn't have to think about climate change, right? Or plastic pollution or air pollution. They didn't have to think about nuclear war or nanomachines, right? They didn't have to think about rogue AI, right? They didn't have to think about any of that. They might have thought about it, right? But they didn't have to. But now we're hyper connected, hyper aware. I kind of think of it as humanity's puberty, right? We're going through we collectively are going through puberty, right? Puberty is messy, right? Chaotic, right? It's crazy. That's what we're going through. And it's so uncertain. But I do truly believe in humanity. And whether we get through it or not, I believe in humanity, or I believe in our hearts, our creativity, our compassion, our fun, right? Playfulness. It almost feels like it's a time for metamorphosis, right? For radical, transformative change. To go from a caterpillar, which can only see things from the surface, right, to becoming a butterfly, which can see things from up above. It's like a transformation in consciousness, right? Consciousness or emotional intelligence. And that's a very, very tall order. Very tall order, right? Physical evolution is already difficult, but emotional evolution, right? Mental evolution, whew, that's a whole nother that's a whole nother thing altogether.